I'm Mrs. Stuyvesant. I'm a third grade teacher at Bryan Elementary, and today we're going to tour Bryan, Ohio's courthouse. Let's go on in.
Keys change. You'll need to set those down.
Okay. We are entering the Bryan Courthouse. We're going to go off to the left-hand side up to the third floor. So we're walking up through the stairwell, looking at all the brass and the marble. There we go. This is the auditor's area where you can also get dog tags. Looking around, there's juvenile court. We're going to go up one more floor to the courtroom. Looking up more stairs. And we are walking to the third floor. Very pretty. We'll be talking with Mrs. Kim Herman. She is the clerk of courts. Let's see if Mrs. Herman is in.
Hello.
Good morning.
My name is Mrs. Herman. I am your Williams County Clerk of Courts. So what I do is maintain and keep all of the records for the judge, for the Common Pleas Court. So we have a lot of files, we have a lot of detailed work that we do, but in our doings, we take care of the court and all of the needs. So we have some different kinds of cases. One kind of case we have are called domestic cases. I color code my files, so I know you're a bit older than that, but I do that because that is helpful to me. So in this case is called a domestic case, and those are when two people decide to end their marriage, divorce, dissolution, that kind of thing. These are kept in these green files. Now these files have a lot of information in it that the public can come see, but we also have information that is kept just for the judge to see, and that's usually financial information, social security numbers, some details like that we do not share with the public. So we keep these files going until all children in the case have attained the age of 18 years old. So we keep these cases at our fingertips for quite a while. Another kind of case that we have are the red ones here, and they are criminal cases. So these are people that have been charged with a felony that can range from a lot of different things, but again, we're keeping everything so the judge has everything at his fingertips when he's making decisions. These are very important decisions about all of our cases. Again, we have non-public information that we keep here that only the judge sees, but otherwise people can come in and view these files. Sometimes family members or people involved in the case want to read and see what's happening with them. So these are public cases that we keep. Another kind of case then we have are civil cases. These are any kind of lawsuits that deal with money damages. I had one case one time where a little girl was bitten in the face by a dog, had thousands of dollars of medical expenses, and this did go to a civil case like this. Sometimes they're car accidents, anything that deal with money, and you can see how thick they are. We have about 1,000 new cases of these three every year. So that's a lot of decisions that the judge is making, and a lot of paperwork that we're keeping track of. I have 3 employees that work for me, and myself. I work right along with them, and I guess some important parts about my office is detail is so important. We have a lot of paperwork that we are dealing with to take to the sheriff's office, to take to other attorneys, and in that we have a lot of details, so we really pay attention to that. Another part of my job, I take care of all the financial parts of these cases, which are court costs, people that are owed different monies. So math is so important in to me and with what we're doing with that too. So another thing we do, customers are coming in our office throughout the day. They're looking for certain details, certain parts of cases, so we're helping them also find what they're looking for. Another thing we do then too are passport applications. So we are agents for the passport office. This is my passport. I went ahead and brought it in, and I'm sure many of you have passports too, but this is my passport. And passports are used, of course, to leave the United States and also to return home. So I used mine a few times to go to Mexico when times were better, but you can use them anywhere to travel in the world. So people come in, they apply for their passports with us. We process all their paperwork. We have a number of things that we have to look for because we're the eyes and the ears for the state, and then we send everything in so that they end up getting their passport book or passport card to do their traveling. So those are some other things that we do, and I have been doing this job for over 25 years. I'm kind of an oldie but a goodie, and I enjoy my job every single day. Lots of things that are trying, just like for you. Things are difficult, but you know, we take care of them. So anyway, I want to thank you again for coming to the courthouse, and we hope to see you real soon.
Well, hello, Mrs. Stuyvesant.
Hello.
Come on in.
Okay.
Welcome to one of 3 courtrooms for the Williams County Common Pleas Court. I am so glad that you and your students are here with us today, even if it has to be virtual.
Thank you.
And I thought what I'd do is show you around the courtroom.
Okay.
So, as you look at this part of the courtroom, this is where people come in and just sit when they're here to watch what's going on in the courtroom. Now you'll see this is a smaller courtroom. There's no jury box. We do not do juries in here. It's more when there are conflicts between 2 people. And if you would like to come right up through the gate,
Okay.
here are counsel tables. This is where people will sit with their attorneys. There's 2 of them. We just rearranged everything because of the COVID virus, so that we are social distanced between each of the people. And that's why, unfortunately, now people are sitting away from where their lawyers are, which is something interesting. And when they have to talk, we take a break so that they can have a talk. This is where people will sit when they're facing the bench. Here is the witness stand. So when somebody comes up, they will get sworn in, and they swear to tell the truth. They face me and they'll be sworn in. And oh, I should tell who I am. That would be important. I'm Karen Gallagher. I'm the magistrate for the Williams County Court. So the witness comes in, they sit down here, and then they are able to face everyone in the courtroom so they can see everyone from this perspective. And the lawyers will ask them questions, and they have to answer under oath, meaning being very truthful. The other role that's very important in the court is the court reporter. That's the person who sits here in front of the keyboard. And while they're doing this, and you can come around and actually see that what happens is that everything in the court is recorded. So as soon as it starts, the hearing starts, everything is recorded by all the participants. The court reporter has the responsibility of making sure that she's taking notes at the same time. So as people are talking, she is typing into the system while it's recording, so that when it has to be reviewed, it can be looked at as to where and when certain things were said. So she has a very important job. She also is the keeper of any paperwork that comes in. They're called exhibits. When people offer things to the court, she's the keeper of those exhibits. I say she, it could be a he, but for us in our court, it is a female who does the court reporting. So this is a very important role that's played. And then we get to my job. And this is where I get to wear this robe. So anytime that I'm in court, I have this on because I am a judicial officer. And I am the person who makes the decisions and hears the cases. So I get to sit here, and I have a good view of the entire courtroom when all of this is going on. So that's what the courtroom looks like. And as I said, there's 3 of them. This is one of the 3 in which a lot of disputes happen in here between families. So if your students have parents who maybe had their marriage end and they were talking about what should happen to their kids, a lot of that happens here. And this is the court also where I spend a lot of time talking with kids as well. So I'm very lucky to have that part of my job. So that's the role that I play, and I have prepared a little map or little poster over there if you want to go to that.
Okay.
Because what I want to talk about, at the top you'll see the scales of justice, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. In Williams County, we have a common pleas court. The Ohio Constitution creates a court, and that is the common pleas court. There are 1 court, and there are 2 judges in Williams County for the common pleas court. Because within that court, there are 4 divisions, and you can see that on that poster. There is the juvenile division, there is the probate division, the general division, which has criminal cases in that one, and the domestic relations divisions. And there are 2 judges, they're elected by the people, and then there's 1 magistrate, and that's me, and I'm the one that is appointed. Now, the other part of that, that's just the microphone. That's okay. The other thing that I want to talk about is the scales of justice are very important to understand. It is a symbol of the judicial system. And what it means is where you see there, the scales are equal, they're straight across. That means every person is treated equally. When the scales tip to one side or the other, it's because people put on their case in here and the evidence is put in their favor that we have to consider to make that tip in those scales bring justice to what's supposed to happen in our community. So that's why the scales of justice are so important as you go through this process. So, Mrs. Stuyvesant, do you have any questions that you want to ask me?
I do not. I think you are covering everything that would be covered in the courtroom.
Well, if any
That's
of
your
your
job.
students would like to come and see us,
Okay.
not in court, but for purposes of seeing us, we'd be happy to have them when all of this is over with.
Great.
And you're back into school and everything's working like normal. So,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
My name is J.T. Stelzer. I am a judge in the big courthouse. You've all seen this before. Anytime you want to stop by with your family, we will give you the real tour. Unfortunately, I think we have to give you a video tour. So this will be a lot of fun. This is a first for me, so bear with me. This is our courtroom. Mrs. Stuyvesant is recording what I'm doing. This is in the 3rd floor of the courthouse. As you can tell, this is where I sit as the judge. These 2 tables are where the attorneys would sit and their clients. Mrs. Stuyvesant, who is videotaping, is sitting in the public section of the courtroom where citizens of the county can sit and watch what is occurring in this court. So the question is, what do we do in here? As the judge of this court, I am responsible for handling all criminal cases. They're called serious criminal cases, also called felonies. What makes them a felony is individuals that commit these crimes could be sent to prison. A less serious offense is called a misdemeanor. Instead of a prison, you could be sent to jail. That's the difference. Also, what I'm supposed to be doing is we handle cases involving divorces and dissolutions and child custody cases. Those are very challenging, but we handle that in this courtroom as well. We also handle cases where someone has been hurt in an auto accident, and those are the types of cases that we would handle in this room as well. In order to become a judge, if any of you are out there that want to become a judge, first of all, you have to graduate from 3rd grade. Eventually, you need to graduate from high school. Then once you graduate from high school, then you have to obtain a 4-year undergraduate degree from a college. Once you obtain that degree, then you have to take an exam that determines whether you can qualify for a law school. So after you do well enough on the exam, then you have to apply to law schools. Once you are admitted into a law school, you're there for 3 more years. Once you've graduated from law school, that means you've had 7 years of college. Once you've graduated, then you have to take a 3-day examination to become an attorney. If you pass that examination, then the state of Ohio tells you you can now be an attorney in the state of Ohio. You can be an attorney, but you can't yet be a judge because you have to be in the private practice of law for a minimum of 6 years. So, once you've done all that, then you can become a judge. It is an elected position. You have to be voted in to be a judge by the voters of Williams County or the county in which you are residing. As a judge, you are elected for a period of 6 years. So I have been doing this for 9 years now, and I really enjoy it. It's very challenging. I read a lot. I meet a lot of interesting people. It's no fun that I'm doing this by video because it's more fun to talk to you when you come to the courtroom. But I think because of the COVID virus, we need to do this. I wish I could take your questions right now because your questions are always very interesting. All right, so you've seen my desk. That's where I sit. This place right here is where a witness would sit and testify. Before a witness would sit down and testify and present their facts, they would have to be sworn in by me. I would ask them whether they swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If they do, that tells me that they're going to sit here and not lie. Lying is a bad thing. So this is the witness chair. This desk right here and this computer set up, we have a court reporter that takes down everything that is said in the courtroom during a hearing or a trial. So anytime I speak, anytime an attorney speaks or a witness, they are preparing a complete record so that that can be preserved and reviewed if necessary. That's what she does. Then these seats up here, it's just like attending a football game, only this is where the jurors sit. In a trial, a jury listens to the evidence from the witnesses, and a jury will determine guilt or innocence in a criminal case. In a civil case, a jury will determine which side has won and what maybe total damages are. That gets a little complicated, but the jury is a very important piece of the proceedings in here. Now, a jury, after they've heard all the evidence and after they've heard all the witnesses, there's a room back in the corner of the courtroom. You can't see it because it's locked right now, but that's the jury deliberation room. And all the jurors will go in there and they will talk privately amongst themselves. They'll discuss the evidence that they've heard. They'll discuss what they've observed, and then they make a decision. Once they've made that decision, they come back into the courtroom and we announce the decision to the parties. It is a fascinating process to watch. You would really enjoy it. It's an open place, and you're allowed to come in eventually to watch these proceedings. So I want all of you to become attorneys or teachers or law enforcement, or do whatever you want, but work real hard in your education. Mrs. Stuyvesant, have I done everything I should?
You did. Thank you very much, Judge Stelzer.
All right, have a good summer.
Thank you. Looking at the artwork, you want to come up close. Can you find a face within this artwork within the courthouse? And it's part of a column. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
I am good. We are in the commissioner's office, and here is a little replica of her courthouse. And we're going to go in here, and we are going to actually look out the window from the commissioner's office.
Every county in Ohio has a flag. Each one is individual, was designed by the county. Williams County flag is right here. That was designed by, they held a contest with the high schools in the area. It was in the 1980s, I believe. And I always thought it was a high school student from Hilltop. It was actually Pioneer. His last name is Stuckey, I believe. But he submitted that design, and that was the one the commissioners picked as the winner. It represents the fields, our agriculture, and then the courthouse, which is the county seat of Williams County, and then it shows up in the little corner of Ohio is where we're located. So they felt that was an accurate representation of Williams County. On March 10th of 1988, the Senate passed a resolution to allow Williams County Commissioners to tear down the old courthouse and build a new one, which is the building we are in right at this moment. Let's see. The first foundation stone was laid on October 1, 1888, and the building was finished. Let me find it. I knew this off the top of my head. Oh, they moved into the courthouse and the officials began using their rooms in July of 1891. So it took about 3 years, not quite 3 years. There was a dispute as to what color they thought the bricks should be for the building, so they had a contest and they let the citizens of the county choose between the red or the white brick. And if you look at it today, you could see which color they chose. It's quite a feat considering how they constructed the building with cranes and horses and wagons and that kind of thing. They had just minor injuries during that time, no major accidents or anything like that, which is pretty amazing. The building cost $185,000 to build at that time. That included all the furniture and all the stonework and the granite and the marble and all that. So nowadays, they said to replace this building it would cost about $13 million. So that would be replacement value if it were to burned out or something along that line. So, let's see, the tower itself is 26 feet square, and the walls are 3 feet thick. Each wall required 35,000 brick for each 4-foot segment, so it took a lot of bricks. The original clock cost $999, and it was purchased through a Bryan jeweler named Theo Camp. And then the clocks were replaced and renovated in 1976 as part of the Bicentennial Project, and that cost $12,000. The bell, the original bell from the old courthouse, is up in the tower. It was in the tower for a short time. The present bell, which weighs 3,000 pounds, was hung in January of 1891. And I find it very interesting that we're clear up here on the top floor and we don't hear that bell ring. You hear it from the outside, but not in here, so that just always fascinating. And you definitely don't want to be standing under it if it's time for it to ring, because it's very loud. The recorder's office, the probate office, the treasurer, the clerk of courts, and the recorder are still in the original offices that they started out in. So they've been there for a long time. And this year, the Williams County is celebrating its 200th anniversary on April 1st. 200 years ago is when Williams County was actually signed into being by the Senate, the Ohio Representatives. So we had some big celebrations planned for earlier this spring, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But hopefully those will be rescheduled. We'll have the governor here speaking and doing some, the historian's gonna speak on and wear like period clothing and talk about what Williams County was like over the 200 years. And so lots of exciting things coming as far as that is concerned, so.
And your name and your position.
And we just talked about that. I'm Robin Kemp, and I am the assistant clerk for the commissioners.
Okay.
And that leads me into my next section. We were gonna talk about what the commissioners do. We have 3 commissioners. They are elected. One is elected 1 year, and then the following year, the other 2 are elected. So we have Commissioner Terry Rummel, Commissioner Brian Davis, and Commissioner Lou Hilkert. And as right now, we're holding sessions through Zoom. The clerk and I are the only ones in the office. So the commissioners are joining in by Zoom. They passed special legislation that allowed them to not have to be in the same room together. So, so it's been kind of an interesting year for us so far. But
Us too.
the commissioners, basically what they do is they oversee the business of the county. They balance the checkbook, so to speak. They oversee the budget. If, say for example, the engineer needs to spend money on replacing a bridge or a road project, they have to make sure there's money available, make sure the funding is in place and all that kind of stuff. So they have to know what money comes in and what bills can be paid without spending more than what we have. But so that's basically what they do, and they're kind of like the boss, I guess.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're very
Appreciate
welcome.
your time.
So,
200 years.
yeah.
And this is a lounge area, which we are up, you can tell, closer to the bell tower. And the structure, they need reinforcement beams on the ceilings. And then here are some pictures that actually show your building. The courthouse back in the early 1800s. This is the bell tower. And this is a view of going down the stairs back down to the main entrance. Thanks for taking the tour with me here with Bryan Courthouse in Bryan, Ohio. This is Mrs. Stuyvesant, their great teacher. Have a great day. Bye.